Bitcoin's not immune from this, sadly. It is sound money. It should be a safety bid, but it won't necessarily get a safety bid. And so I'm actually of the view that, just to cut to the chase, that we could see a lower Bitcoin price before we see a much higher Bitcoin price. And
There we have a quick take from Lepard. He's sitting there saying that we're going to see lower Bitcoin price action before we see higher. But there's good news on the back end. Make sure you watch this video to the end. With that, what's happening in Crypto Crew? Sean's coming back at you with another cryptocurrency video. Getting straight into it, Bitcoin is still putting in record network hash rate, new all-time highs. When this happens, you know that price action is a leading indicator. Price action is a lagging indicator. So new all-time highs in the midterm. So maybe over the next month or two. Right now, it's still a little bit of pain in the markets. Why is there pain? Well, Trump came out today and he said that the U.S. has discounted reciprocal tariffs for everybody that is putting tariffs on them. So it's a tariff war. It's not one-to-one, but it is spooking markets. The Bitcoin price today got up to about almost over 88,000, and with that news, the price had fell back down to a little bit below 84,000 the current time is recording. But we are still in this rounding bottom pattern. Will we see higher price action? This is Bitcoin on the weekly. Right now, this weekly candle hasn't closed, but right now it is in the light red. And the last time we seen this price action into light red, it eventually has that rounding bottom effect before we then see new all-time highs. Bottoms take time to form, doesn't happen overnight, and this is what we're going through right now. Could we see lower price action? Lawrence Lepard's talking about low 70s. This would be a back test for this macro resistance level that was around the $71,000 range. Hit our head once, twice, three times, blasted through it. So could we come back down and retest this before we see a blast up to a higher price action? That could definitely in the cards. Look on the lower time frame on the 4-hour. You see we've hit our head once, two, three times, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. So you know what they say, the more times you knock on the door, eventually the price action will then blast through. We're coming up to this apex. This apex range is around April 12th. Current price around 83.8, right below $84,000. So the lower levels to pay attention to is around the $80,000 range, and we could just continue to bounce and squeeze until we get closer to this April 12th date. Break through this. We want to see a continuation. Could have a bump up, hold this level, have a bump and run continuation pattern. MicroStrategy also is going to have an open with a lower price action. We closed around 312, got up over 320 after hours. Current time is recording, we're right at $300. So in hindsight, looking where $300 is, we're still in healthy price action. This is still just putting in higher highs, higher lows. Could we get continuation to the upside and see higher price action? That could be what's in the cards. So let's have a continuation from Lawrence Lepard and see what is going on in the markets and what he sees before the year is out. Let's hear from Larry.
Bitcoin's not immune from this, sadly. It is sound money. It should be a safety bid, but it won't necessarily get a safety bid. And so I'm actually of the view that, just to cut to the chase, that we could see a lower Bitcoin price before we see a much higher Bitcoin price. And by that I mean maybe something in the high 70s. Something starts with a 70, which I know is not what people want to hear. But I think it's possible. If it does happen, I don't think it'll last for long. The reason I say that is that the Federal Reserve has already started to indicate they're going to loosen. They reduced the amount of quantitative tightening that they are doing from 25 billion a month to 5 billion a month. That's a big cut, and a concession, I think, on the part of Powell to help Trump out. And I think that when the market rolls over the way we're describing, it won't be long until the economy and employment and all the other indicators start to indicate softness too. And even though they haven't really licked inflation, they're going to look beyond that and just say, well, okay, time to get more aggressive about cutting, and they're going to cut. And when that happens, then Bitcoin's going to go the other way. And it's because that, in my view, will be the prelude to what will ultimately be coming, which, of course, is the name of the book, The Big Print. And so as I said to Nico, I also think by the end of the year, Bitcoin's going to be at 140 to 250. So that's December. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is, and this is just a guess. I mean, I've been wrong a lot, probably be wrong about this too. But, you have to, when you're a macro guy and you're making investments, you're managing a fund, you got to try to make your best estimate of what's going to happen. And I think the stock market's in trouble. And I think that right now there's a lot of correlation between the high tech stocks and Bitcoin. I think this cycle will break that correlation, that this will be the time when, the stock market will roll over and they will come with liquidity to try and prevent the downturn from occurring, and the stocks will ignore it, and Bitcoin won't. Bitcoin will go much, much higher. I also said to Nico, and I think this is really a big tell, will be when this stock market rollover occurs, watch what happens to the U.S. 10-year. Do interest rates go up or do interest rates go down? And the reason that's important is that if interest rates go up, that implies that they really don't have enough money in the system and that they're going to have to go to QE and yield curve control more quickly. I mean, typically, history shows that when the stock market rolls over, the bond market ought to get a bid. People who are selling stocks, they go to the safe haven of bonds. If you're going to have a downturn, you're going to have a recession, you want to lock in a yield. That has not been happening recently. The first 5% down in the stock market, bond market caught a little bit of a bid and yields came down a bit. Second 5% down, the bond market went the wrong way. And I think this time, I think people are beginning to figure this game out, which is that we are in a sovereign debt crisis, noted by, $3,000 plus almost 350 gold. And Bitcoin, was at 106, admittedly down from that, but still both record highs within the last few months. And to me, those are both signals that the government is slowly but surely proving they can't solve this problem. And I think the reason the market's done as well as it's done right until now is that there's kind of a false belief that the Lutnick camp and the Musk camp and the lovers of Trump, and by the way, I don't hate Trump, I just don't agree with everything he does. The lovers of Trump are kind of, they've got a lot of happy talk going on. We can land this plane. It's going to be okay. We can cut back this expense. We can, get the bond market down. I mean, they're talking about doing a lot of things that if they could do them, it would be a miracle. And so I think what's going to happen is it's going to become clear that miracle is not likely to happen, and that they're going to need help from the Fed to do it. And we all know what help from the Fed means. Help from the Fed means printing money, and printing money means Bitcoin and gold continue to go up. So
there you have it from Lawrence Lepard, and he's sitting there telling you that we are waiting for that big print. So big question is when will this bottom be in? Is the bottom already in around the $77,000 range? Well, time will tell. We'll definitely see before April 12th. Will we see a meltdown? Will this upper level break down? And this level has been respected since way back in September of 2024. We've respected this level quite a few times. So just pay attention to this upper bound level. Will we come down further and see a major meltdown in markets? You be the judge. But with that, I'm Sean with the Bitcoin Bros. You guys like this content, go ahead and smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and show us some love. We appreciate each and every one of you. And with that, I'm out.